And well, we are joined from Moscow by Lucy Taylor, our Moscow correspondent, who joins us to talk more about this. Lucy, thanks very much for talking to us this evening. Now, there has been much worry and focus on, Russian meddling in elections in the US, allegations of hacking. How true is this worldwide concern of the latest malware that seems to be almost impossible to eradicate?
Yes, well, as you were saying, this all comes from this internet security company called ESET, which says it's identified this new virus just in the last few days. It's calling it LoJax. It says it's attributing it to the Russian military intelligence services, as you've said. And the reason that this is so apparently impossible to eradicate is because it targets this very core critical component of a computer, which was actually originally installed in some computers as anti-theft software. So it's deliberately created to outlast things like Windows being reinstalled on a computer, or even the hard drive being replaced completely. Because of course that's exactly what a thief would do if they physically stole your computer from your house or office. They would try to replace those things, replace the hard drive, reinstall the software to try and get away from you, when actually this software exists to help the user track the location and track down their computer that's been stolen. But because it's so hardy, this malware apparently can infect this critical component, and it means that the virus itself can outlast those things.
Right.
So if your computer gets infected, even if you replace the hard drive, it can still be compromised. It can also compromise other computers on the same network.
Right. And then, Lucy, as the world goes into a tizzy about how to get rid of this malware, how is Moscow reacting to this?
Moscow hasn't responded to this as yet directly, but this is a pattern of a number of other cyber attacks which have been attributed to Moscow in the past, and they have always denied all of them. They deny the existence of this unit at all, and they say it falls into a pattern of Russophobia. This is a common phrase that we hear from the Russian government, which tries to say that other parts of the world, particularly the US and Europe, are very against Russia and spread a narrative of Russia being against the rest of the world. It is also probably fair to say that Russia is not the only country that is engaging in this kind of cyber attack. We've had attacks attributed to China, to Iran, even to North Korea, and also to the US and, for example, the UK as well. Both of those have mentioned their own cyber attack capabilities in the past and suggested that they might be using them offensively in future. Donald Trump even relaxed the rules last month in the US about how cyber weapons can be employed. So it's not just Russia, but Russia denies this completely.
Right. So, Lucy, then a very, before I wrap, a quick question, in tune with what you were saying. So are the next wars then going to be fought in cyberspace, as we are seeing so many counter allegations, the latest being, of course, Mr. Trump saying that the Chinese are doing this as well, meddling in elections through various mediums, and also, of course, an interesting statement that you made that Russia thinks this is some sort of Russia-phobia in the US and otherwise.
Yeah, so far that threat of whether the next wars will be carried out in cyberspace seems to be more hypothetical than real. But there have been a big pattern of different attacks which are kind of coordinating alongside wars on the ground. So, for example, there was a big attack in 2017 which targeted Ukraine. And, of course, there's a big conflict on the ground there in Ukraine, a very deadly physical war happening there, mostly between Ukraine and Russia. And this attack, you may have heard of it, it was called NotPetya, targeted Ukraine originally, but then because of the nature of this virus that was being spread, it spread to other parts of the world as well. It spread to the US, UK and others. So is perhaps a weapon that can be employed during war rather than the new cyber war frontline in itself.
Right.
But there's also another way that these are being used in terms of espionage, stealing theft, and also, as you mentioned, potentially hacking elections. Not just China, but Russia, again, has been very much accused of doing that, as you may know, from 2016, the US presidential election there. And the US intelligence agencies have been warning that might happen again in the midterms, which are coming up in the US in November.
Right, absolutely. Lucy Taylor, thanks very much for joining us live from Moscow. Appreciate it.